All right. So it is Monday, which means it is vocabulary day. I love vocabulary day. Yeah, we have the 10 question thing at the end of the week, Mia. But before we do that, the first thing we need to do is review our one root from last week and our two suffixes from last week. We don't have new ones. It's the same one. We're just going to review it real quick. So our root from last week was geo. If you remember what geo means, can you please put it in my chat? If you remember what geo means, please put it in my chat. If you remember what geo means, please put it in my chat. Which my chat is not loading. So if you put it in there, I can't see it currently. Oh, there it is. Some of you put the right one. Corgan, you put the right one. Jessica, you put the right one. A geo means earth. Geo means earth, like geology would be the study of earth. So a word that starts with geo would be geology. It would have geographic, any of those words, but geo means earth. We're going to need to remember that for your test on Friday. Any questions on geo? Like I said, we're just reviewing these quickly. Our other ones were a little bit harder, the suffixes. Tell me, where does the suffix go? Put it in my chat. Where does the suffix go? Where does the suffix go? At the end, you guys are correct. You are correct. So these two would go at the end. And remember, these two kind of went together. It was ology and ologist. Does anyone remember what either of these mean? How about the first one? If I said geology or biology or pharmacology, Presley, your hand is up. Do you remember?
Ology means the study of something.
Yes, study of. Woohoo! Remember, I showed you the list of the ology words, and there was literally like 500 because any word you could throw ology on it, basically, and it means the study of. So, pharmacology. There literally were so many ology words. And then the ologist kind of went right along with it. Do you remember? Oh, Mia kind of said it. So remember, the ologist is the person who studies or is an expert of the related ology. So this is the person specific. So a biologist is the person who studies the biology, right? So these two kind of go along. This is what we're studying. Then the person, the ologist, is who's studying it, okay? So the person who is studying the specific thing. And those were just the three we had to review because we learned those actually like 2 weeks ago now. Yes, Angelina.
Never mind. I figured out the name for it.
Okay. All right. So I need you to stop typing in my chat now, unless you have a question or something, or I ask you a question, but we are caught up on the one root and two suffixes. So now we are going to learn our new vocabulary words for the week. There are 7 vocabulary words, okay? 7. I repeat, 7. And remember, we're still learning about the lovely earth, natural disasters. Dun, 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 dun. Zach, do you have a question or are you just holding your hand up? Okay. So our first word is a word that we have all heard before, I believe. I think we have. And it is destruction. Dun, 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 dun. Would anyone, if you would like to, you may raise your hand in the Raise Your Hand app, and I might call on you if you think you know what destruction means. Zach, you raised your hand first. Unmute yourself. Tell me what destruction means.
To destroy or break something.
Yeah, you're basically right on track. Destruction is the act of destroying or ruining something. So a sentence for destruction could be the destruction of the building was caused during an earthquake. destruction, the act of destroying or ruining something. So you could say, my little sister causes destruction all over the house, meaning they, destroy the house or something like that. Abigail, do you have a question?
I have a sentence.
Well, keep it to yourself because you're going to have to do vocab sentences. Dun, dun, dun. So just keep it in your brain. All right, destruction is our first one. We have all heard that word before, so that's nothing crazy. Our next word is, if I think I got them out of order. No, I didn't. All right, is triggered. Triggered. And this is not the like, oh, I'm so triggered, like slang thing. What does triggered mean? If you'd like to answer, feel free to raise your hand in the raise your hand app and I might call on you. Triggered. If something was triggered, this is a verb. Jacob, what do you think, bud? Jacob Kozub, your hand was up.
It's like triggered. You pull something to start. Like if, like in the picture, you push something in, it knocks other things down, or like it starts something.
Okay, so like it starts something. So it's just kind of a little, you're basically right. It's sort of a little bit hard to explain. So if you triggered an action or an event, you did something to start it. So here, this person in the picture is triggering the dominoes. He is starting the dominoes by pushing one domino, and then obviously we know the next domino, the next domino, the next domino. We know how dominoes work. So if you triggered an action or an event, you did something to start it. So if there's an earthquake, it might trigger a tsunami, right? Sometimes earthquakes causes tsunamis. So that would be a triggering event, okay? Or what's another one? What's another thing for, another sentence could be my hand triggered the dominoes falling. So that would be a sentence that goes along with these dominoes, okay?
What about a gun?
That is a trigger, not triggered. That's a trigger. That's a thing. A trigger on a gun is a noun because it's a thing. Triggered is a verb. It's something that you do. Okay? So if you pull
Yeah, but like what about like I triggered the gun?
Can you say that again? Okay. So a trigger on a gun is a noun. That's a thing. So if you said I pulled the trigger, you pulling the noun. If you triggered something, you're starting something. It's a verb. It's something that you do. So I guess you could say,
oh, okay.
I triggered the trigger and it shot the dummy. I don't know. That would be a really weird sentence. I don't know who would say that, but a trigger on a gun is a noun. To trigger something is a verb. Okay? Okay. All right, next one. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, Mrs. Kneifel is multitasking over here, even though I shouldn't be. All right, next one is one we may not necessarily know. May not. This is another verb, and it is thrust. Raise your hand if you'd like to answer. This is one we may not all know. Totally fine if you don't. Bryden, would you like to answer? Is your hand up? It's another verb, something that you can do. Bryden, no? All right, Bryden's hand's down now. How about Landon Reedus? Landon Reedus?
Is it like a movement?
Yeah, it is kind of like a movement. So to thrust is to push something with great force. So here's a picture of like broken ground. And a sentence that goes with that is the violent movement of the earthquake thrusts the ground up through the pavement. So a thrust is a push with great force. So if Mrs. Kneifel was playing basketball and I needed to get the ball to my player across the floor, I might thrust the ball as hard as I could. And I mean pushing it forward with a lot of force, not just a willy-nilly throw, but like, boom, a really hard push, a throw, okay? So thrust is to push something with great force. Okay? Okay. Remember, if you have any questions, just feel free to stop me along the way or type it in the chat. That way I know if you have a question, okay? Let me check the. Oh, that's okay, Bryden. All right, next one is radiate. R-A-D-I-A-T-E. Radiate. What does radiate mean? Radiate. Raise your hand if you want to tell me what radiate means. Who have I not called? Dylan Kelly. I haven't seen your hand up till now. Tell me, what does radiate means?
Does radiate mean send off heat or something?
So
Or
your
something.
send off is kind of right. It could be heat, or rays or waves. So to radiate is to spread out in waves or rays. So right now, my little heater over here, if you can see it, it is radiating heat. It is spreading out heat. Okay? So if I throw a pebble in a pond, it's going to radiate waves, meaning it's going to start where I threw my pebble, then it's going to go out and out and out. It's going to spread out waves, okay? So a sentence.
It's gonna ripple.
Yeah. So a sentence to go along with this picture would be shock waves radiate from the epicenter of an earthquake just as ripples radiate in a pond, right? So that's literally what we just talked about, you know, throw a pebble in a pond, waves are going to ripple or radiate out. And, you know, my heater over here is radiating some heat over here, okay? Which is good, because Miss Knifel's cold. So that is radiate, another verb. All right, our next one is a math word. It is a math content area word. Math, remember how we talked about content area words? Content area words. This one would be math content area, and it is parallel. What does parallel mean? Does anyone know? Hannah Druber, unmute yourself. Tell me what parallel means.
It's like train tracks, like the railings are like.
So that would be an example of parallel, but what does parallel actually mean? But that train tracks would be not a parallel universe, Evan. That's not the type of parallel I'm talking about. But Hannah, that is an example of train tracks. But what exactly is parallel? Jacqueline Olsen?
Like train tracks, like they'll never ever like collide into each other.
Yes. So if two or more things are parallel to each other, they move in the same direction and will never intercross, okay? So here's some parallel lines on a road. You know how they have those two yellow lines sometimes? They run side by side in the same direction, and they're not suddenly going to cross each other, right? Obviously, sometimes trains have two sets of tracks that cross each other, but the actual two lines are never going to cross. They always run parallel. And parallel is a math word because we're talking about lines, parallel lines. So a sentence to go along with this picture would be, the highway was marked with yellow parallel lines. Okay? That makes sense? Yeah, we know what parallel is. So later when I'm like, oh my gosh, can someone remind me what parallel is? You're going to be like, it's a math content. It's a math content word, Mrs. Kneifel. Math specific. Okay? Okay, cool. All right. Our next one is lateral. This could be another maybe, actually this could be a math content area words or maybe a science one as well, but lateral. Lateral is an adjective. Someone with their hand up. Nolan, do you want to tell me what lateral is? Is your hand up? Lateral.
I don't know what it means.
Oh, well, your hand was up.
I forgot the
right.
last one.
Angelina, what do you think? Your hand's up.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Your hand was up. So
zooming out.
lateral. Do you know what lateral means?
No, sorry. My hand was up from the last one.
All right, so lateral. If something moves in a lateral way, it moves side to side. So here on the chess piece, Some chess pieces, Mrs. Knife doesn't know how to play chess, but that's besides the point. Some chess pieces can only move lateral. They can only move side to side. So if we were dancing and we were moving left to right, you could say, oh, look, she's moving lateral, left to right. Okay? So lateral means it moves side to side, not forward and back, not diagonal, but side to side. Okay? That's what lateral means. And our final word, dun, 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 final one for today is modified. Does anyone know what modified means? Mrs. Kneifel knows what modified is. What is modified? If something is modified, this is another adjective. You can describe something as modified. What is modified? Olivia, what is modified, ma'am?
Does it mean to like make something better?
It can be. It doesn't have to be better though. So if a modified version of something means it's revised or changed or upgraded, that's a good way to put it. If I modify something, maybe I'm making it easier or I'm making it better or maybe I'm just changing it. So modified means revised or changed, okay? A revised or changed version, all right? So let's quickly go over all of our words one more time. Yes, Angelina, do you have a question?
You modify school every day for us because you make it easier for us since we're all virtual learning.
Right, like I'm modifying my lessons right now being like here. Normally, I would not be sitting in a chair in front of a computer screen. Normally, I'd be up walking around and stuff. So right now, I'm modifying what I'm doing. That's a good way. Good thinking, Angela. Angelina, I just called you Angela. I'm sorry. That's my sister-in-law's name. My bad. All right, so
You can
destruction.
either call me Angel or Alex if it's easier because Alex is my nickname.
All right, destruction is the act of destroying or ruining something. Remember, be thinking of sentences in your brain. Triggered. If you triggered an action or event, you did something to start it. Thrust. To thrust is to push something with great force, not no willy-nilly pushing, but like whoosh, okay? Radiate. To radiate is to spread out in waves or rays. So you could say, ooh, the ripples radiated in the stream. Parallel, this is a math content area word. If two or more things are parallel to each other, they move in the same direction. They're never going to intersect or cross. Lateral. If something moves in a lateral way, it moves side to side, side to side. And lastly, modified. A modified version of something is a revised or changed version. Somehow it was altered, fixed, changed, sometimes for the better, sometimes to make it simpler. Or you could even modify something to make it harder. I don't know. All different types of reasons. Does anyone have any questions over our 7 vocabulary words? Yes, Mia, side by side, parallel. Or, well, lateral, it doesn't have to be lines. Lateral can be this marker. If it's here and I move it over here, I just moved it laterally. I moved it to the side. Then if I move it over here, I moved it laterally again. I moved it to the side. But if I moved it forward, that's not lateral because I moved it forward. Lateral's just side to side, okay? So, any questions on our lovely vocab? But parallel has to be 2 things. Yes, like these pens right now are parallel. They could move like this. They're parallel. They're side by side. If I went like this would not be parallel because they're intersecting. Parallel can never intersect, okay? All right, so my lovely friends, we do have vocabulary homework. Just like always, nothing has changed. There are 7 words. And you have to do 4 sentences. You have to choose 4 of the 7 words. You will be graded, of course, on your sentence making sense, your capital letter, your punctuation, and your words spelled right. It is due by reading class tomorrow. But Mrs. Kneifel is going to be super nice. And guess what? You're going to have the rest of class today. So you still have 20 minutes of reading class to get this done Jessica, that's a good way to put it, those little things. To get it done today. Tomorrow, we're going to start reading our story, but today, you're going to do your vocabulary homework. And my class, I will see you at 1 o'clock for grammar. Everyone else, I'll see you tomorrow. My class, 1 o'clock is grammar, okay? Everyone else, you're free to go. Your homework has been posted. It is due before reading class tomorrow, okay? See you later.
Yep, bye.
Bye, class. See you at 1 o'clock. Bye.